Hello, folks, and how are we? We all good? I hope so. Hope you're all keeping well. Um, it's another Irish whiskey review with me, Marty McCauley. Remember, it's a whiskey show based in Ireland, not all Irish whiskies, and that's why tonight we are reviewing this baby. Can you see it? Lindores Abbey. Hang on, my eyes are starting to go. Getting old. Just getting old. Lindores Abbey MCDXCIV. And in case you're wondering what that is, obviously it's Roman numerals and it stands for 1494. Why 1494, you may ask? I'll just open it just while I'm filling this in. Because that's the earliest reference to Scottish whisky on record. And if you haven't heard the story, it's a Friar John Core was asked by King James IV or James IV's tax collectors or whoever it was to make an amount of ushkaba. Anyway, now in terms of Lazarus brands, these ones who rise out of the grave, this is kind of the ultimate one. Lazarus brands, I've termed these, are ones who, distilleries who have died away, and then someone comes along, registers the name, resurrects the brand, and puts 1494 on the bottle. They may have registered the company 2 years ago, have no connection to the place, no connection to the area, put up a distillery, maybe not even that, just register a brand and put in some false heritage, really. Now, these guys have built the distillery pretty much on the same site as where it's reckoned the abbey was and all of this kind of stuff. Not friary, I should say, friary. So yeah, when it's done well, and the guys who do these Lazarus brands hold their hands up, say this is what we're doing. We are custodians of the brand. We are trying to recreate as much of the authentic heritage and history and stay true to the ethos and all of this kind of stuff. There's not a huge amount of harm done. It's nice for marketing and all that. But when it's just gimmicky, it kind of grates on me a little bit, because you're just buying this false heritage. You know, at least whenever some companies do it, they do it at the location, and they offer some sort of heritage or hat tip to the people who are they're bringing along their history, if you like. So yeah, this is basically, it claims that it's, you know, all the claims that it's going to be in the essence of the Lindores Abbey and stuff. This will taste absolutely zero, nothing like what was produced back then, okay? Zippo for a start. This is finished in ex-bourbon casks, ex-sherry casks, and STR burgundy casks. And in case you're wondering what STR is, it's shaved, toasted, and recharred red wine casks, essentially. Why do they do this? Well, this was a process that was invented not that long ago. Red wine casks sometimes are really too much for whiskey, and what I mean by that is they have on it in the cask too much wine. So when you put the whiskey in, it's basically just stripping the wine is off the cask, which is not really what you want. You don't want a wine whiskey mix. So a method was come up where they shave a tiny bit off the inside of the cask. They then toast it and rechar it. That you keep some of the wine element, you bring out some of the oak element then as well, and don't overpower the whiskey. So it's a relatively new process. None of this was about in 1494, okay? None of it. So it just wouldn't have been happening. The idea that Friar Core did a bit of finishing in an ex-bourbon cask, you know, you know, America had literally just been discovered by the Europeans. Yeah, so anyway, it's what is it? It's 46%, I think. Again, these are on the miniature bottles because these stuff. Where are we? Yep, 46%. One thing I will say, it uses Fife barley from the Kingdom of Fife over in East Scotland. They are trying to do the quality stuff. There's no two ways about that. You know, they're putting their mark down. But yeah, so this is 4 years old. This is pretty much their release, or what it's going to be. It's non-chill filtered, non-colour. On the nose, quite sweet. Quite sweet, but quite a pleasant sweetness. It's balanced, and I think actually the STR, the recharred Burgundy cask, is actually bringing back a little bit of the sherry and the bourbon. There's not as much vanilla there as bourbon would normally impart. In fact, what you're getting is a little bit of sugary sweetness, tempered with a kind of more mild fresh fruit sweetness, which is a different thing. I mean, it just doesn't work the same way. It's coming up, fresh fruit, but the sugary elements before the fruit comes in. And whenever I say fresh fruit, I'm talking sort of pears. It's peary type thing, so it's not sharp. So it's fresh without necessarily being zippy. So you have this sugary sweetness tempered off with fresh fruit, pears, a little bit of a biscuity note, probably like your fig roll. So that kind of fruit biscuit. So you're getting sweet and sort of baked goods. If I'm honest, there is a little vanilla there, but you have to look for it. You know, once you're told that the bourbon's there, it sets out and you go, yeah, okay. But I think if you weren't told, it probably wouldn't be the first thing you would notice. It wouldn't be in the first few things you'd notice. It's really quite fresh. Yep. Surprisingly good mouthfeel, actually, for such a young whiskey. Really get a nice coating in the mouth. Yeah, that's pleasant enough. Again, the finish is quite good too. I'm quite impressed actually by the oiliness of that. I'll actually pour a little bit more of that out. Yeah. Yeah. On the palate, I'll probably talk a little bit more about the finish now actually, because it's been a while. On the finish, I wouldn't say there's huge development. It kind of goes from, again, a little bit of sweetness, fresh fruit, maybe again a little bit baked good, a little bit baked fruit, and a little bit of sugary sweetness going right the way through. But on the palate, quite a lot of fresh fruit. There's an oak, a toasted oak element coming through there, which is very close to baked goods. It's that kind of baked. You know, it's been caramelized in some form. There's a caramelization there, which is coming through, and the sweetness tempers it quite well. So it's quite well balanced. It's got a very nice mouthfeel for something so young. There's quite a lot to like about this, actually. I wouldn't say it's staggering. I wouldn't say it's fantastic whiskey, but it's only 4 years old. So what really can you expect? A bit more cereal element in it now that I'm sitting thinking about it. The barley's coming through quite pronounced, and it's quite a nice barley. It's almost breakfast cereal-esque with the sweetness. It's almost got one of those, you know, those unhealthy breakfast cereals that you used to think were healthy. You know, your mum wouldn't let you eat buttered toast, but she would let you eat cereal, not knowing that there's an awful lot of sugar in it. Well, it's kind of on that kind of form, but it's not that bad. Yeah, maybe something a little bit like something similar to maybe a sugar puffsy type thing, or crunchy nut cornflakes-esque. I wouldn't say it's like that. I wouldn't say it's definitely like that, but it's in that ballpark, you know. There's quite a lot to like about that, actually. If I have to give it a mark, I think, what price was that? I know it's only a small bottle, but I think it's somewhere in the region of £45 a bottle. I should have checked that actually before I came on. Yeah, I should have checked that if I'm totally honest. But if I have to give it a mark, I'll give it a sort of 6 out of 10. And it's young. I imagine this will get better. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that goes, because possibly as it moves on, the bourbon to that recharred balance will shift a little bit, and if they keep with that aging, it would be nice actually if the bourbon almost disappeared and that toasted element of the STR cask come on through a little bit more. If I'm honest, I think this would probably work better, but we shall see. So Lindores Abbey, one from the past and one for the future probably. Guys ain't going anywhere. So yeah. So that is the review of Lindores. I hope you enjoyed it. Do look out for Justin and myself on the Irish Whiskey Review every Saturday night, 10 o'clock, Greenwich Mean Time. And do have a look at everything else we do. We do quite a lot. We do the podcast, we do the live show, we do little features and news things pop up every so often. So do give us a subscribe. Watch the show on Facebook and YouTube. We're on LinkedIn, Instagram. We're on all the smart speakers. We're on all of that kind of stuff. So come and join us. We try and keep it a bit light-hearted. So yeah, enjoy and stay safe, guys. All right, take care.